Ladies and gentlemen, we are live yet again on the Roofing on the Rise broadcast, where we bring you innovation and education in today's marketplace. Today and every day, we have an amazing guest. Today, we have Kyle Northrop. Kyle, what is going on, brother? How are you?
Man, I am absolutely wonderful, Marcus. Thank you.
And I absolutely am honored to have you on today. And man, I'm just blessed to be able to have the Chad T. Wilson Law Firm as a sponsor. We were just talking about this earlier. They're an amazing law firm that helps when the insurance company delays, denies, or defends their position. It's super important that you get aligned with the right people that'll take care of your clients the right way. So if you need someone that will take care of your clients the right way, reach out to me. Telephone number is 210-919-8987, and I'll get you in contact with the right people over at Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. Man, I'm stoked because we haven't really seen each other for a while, bro. So if you see me looking over and it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I do miss you. It's been a long time. I'm super, super, super happy that we're doing this today, bro.
Yeah, I was trying to think this morning, when was the last time I saw you in person? 2019, when you left Connecticut.
I think so.
You helped me move to that apartment in West Hartford.
Yeah.
That's probably the last time I saw you.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a cute apartment, actually. You're not living there anymore, are you?
Not in that apartment. No, I've moved a couple of times since then, but in the Connecticut area, I'm still
okay. That's cool. Man, I really liked Connecticut because it just the culture is just different.
It's different, and I grew up in Amarillo, Texas, so Amarillo, Texas is so different than anywhere else. There's no trees. It's an arid climate. When we get rain, it's 10 inches at a time and floods everything. So Connecticut to me is just beautiful. Trees everywhere. I live on the Farmington River in Burlington, Connecticut now. So it's really sweet.
Dude, so even the snow is different from Amarillo. That's something that we have a lot in common is, we have so much in common. But Amarillo, I went to the Boys Ranch. That was my first. Not only did I go to the Cal Farley's Boys Ranch for a couple of years, but then I came back, and that was the first storm I ever worked. So I was in the Amarillo marketplace, and I was there multiple times, and for multiple years, and we never crossed paths, or we may have crossed paths. Knew it,
I moved after college. I moved back to Amarillo to raise my family in '96. So I was in Amarillo from '96 to January of 2019 when I moved to Connecticut.
Wow, that's some dedication to living in a spot. Yeah, I was born in '92. So yeah, that was yeah. So yeah,
we have an age gap.
Know your age a little bit today.
Well, what's funny is you trained me in the roofing business. When I moved to Connecticut, that's what I moved for, was to learn the roofing business, and you were my manager.
So how was that?
I loved it. You introduced me to a phenomenal and amazing industry that, for me, has allowed me to rebuild my life, because when I moved to Connecticut, I was about to get divorced. In fact, you and I were living together when the guy came and served me divorce papers that Sunday afternoon. I'm sure you probably remember when he showed up at our storm dorm.
Yeah.
Everyone freaked out when the police drove up.
Because we were doing wrong, bro.
Of course. People that do right don't freak out when the police pull up to their house. That's just the way it is.
Bro, I mean, listen, if you're watching and you're from the Northeast or you're from the North, Midwest, like it gets wild when it gets cold. You got to make up certain things to do. And if you're, for me, I was a big drinker and so it was for a social or whatever. And like we would put like I remember one day we had like 60 beers in the snow on the patio, and we were like playing beer pong and all kinds of stuff. It was retarded.
Yeah, it just you get crazy in that snow and get housebound and not being able to go work for 2 months at a time. And that was a tough winter where we were living. In Waterbury, we were down in that valley. It snowed every freaking day for 2 straight months.
So there's a myriad of things that I want to talk about today. The number one, she goes, crap.
Oops. Oops.
That's the beauty of podcasting. I absolutely love it.
Yes.
So, when you came in was a very different place. I was in a very different place in my life. We were both in very, very vulnerable places in our lives. Could you share with me why you decided to get sober? And hold on, and put yourself into a dorm like you did in Amarillo. Those 2 questions I've always wondered.
Man, I had no idea when I left Amarillo to come to Connecticut to work. I had no idea what kind of environment or what I was fixing to get into. I just, I need to kind of backdate a little bit because as my marriage began to fall apart in 2018, 2017, I took my youngest daughter, Chloe, who rodeoed. I took her to a rodeo out of town every single weekend for a complete year.
Yeah.
And so we had already kind of checked out of our marriage. And I left Texas knowing that I was going to try to rebuild my life somewhere. I had to put it back together. And when I got to Connecticut, I met you in that storm dorm, didn't know what I was doing, but I knew you guys were able to make a lot of money somehow. Yeah. And I knew I needed to have a good job and make some money to put my life back together. I had closed my landscaping business in Amarillo in 2018. I'd sold it to a guy, and the sale didn't go well, so my life was just falling apart. Yeah. And another guy that we love that's near and dear to us that's no longer here, Ben Tucker. I mentored Ben when he was in high school, and God is God. And I turn around, Ben's mentoring me a few years later as the general manager of NDX Roofing, where we both worked. And it was just a great time in my life, but also the most scariest time in my life because I was stepping out on faith. That's all I had to go on. I knew I was losing my marriage. I knew I was going to lose my house over the deal. I had to figure out how to put my life back together. And so, that's where God sent me, was Connecticut. Just all the doors open.
Did you decide to get sober when you got to Connecticut, or did you decide to do that whenever you left Texas?
Neither. I had been clean and sober since 2010.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, it was in December 10th of 2006 when I totally stopped doing any drugs and alcohol.
Wow. So,
and what I do remember is pretty soon after I got to Connecticut, I connected back up with my support group, which is worldwide. And you
Absolutely.
and you guys remember, I leave every night about 6:30 and go to those meetings. And I remember you asking me quite a bit about those meetings, and because I think you'd had a little experience at that time with trying to stop drinking and doing drugs.
I just I wanted I wanted peace. Um I wanted serenity. I was after that. I was looking for and I was running from my higher power, which I believe is Jesus Christ. That's
Yeah.
my higher power. And when I've never told you this, but I watched you go to those meetings and I thought I should go to one of those. Every single time you went to one of those meetings and you asked me to go, I fought going to that meeting. And I even went to the freaking bar. I I tried to get you to come with me. I know I did. And like when I
Well,
told you when I
you
told you I
guys
wanted
were
to
you guys
those,
were yeah, you guys were very respectful of my sobriety and what I was doing. I'll say that. You never said, "Oh, just come have a beer with me." You never did that. So I'll give you guys kudos for that, Marcus. You guys understood and respected where I was in my life and what would happen if I went back that route.
so I didn't understand the uh the graveness of and in the seriousness of going to those meetings, how important it was, right? And to this day, right now, I haven't been to a meeting in a little while. Gonna plug back into my local group, but we've had some changes, some personality things, which should never get in the way of your sobriety.
It
Which
does,
is
though. We're
right.
human.
We're human, right? Um, but I've taken that time to connect with my family in a way in which that I've never been able to do, and my God, in the way that I've never been able to. And so I have a clean conscience on my sobriety because I'm walking through the steps that I need to stay sober,
Right
right?
on.
And it's super important. It was so important to my family that my wife decided to do it as well. And she's seen the benefits and she's seen what happens with it. I mean, her friends want to drink all the time, but she just chooses not to, you
Sure.
know?
She's a
Um,
supporter of you.
Very much so. Very much so. But yeah, I had to ask that and I had to touch on that because you were very, very faithful with that. And I want to give you the props that you deserve for that because you definitely helped influence someone else that was in addiction and that needed to see someone because that's an example to go off of in the future when I really, really, really absolutely needed to go, like as soon as I was getting sober, those were the things that I was thinking about when I was going pretty much every single day. And it's just like that thought, like, okay, there's a life, there's a functional life outside of these doors, but I gotta relearn how to do it. And and I thank you for being so consistent like that. That really, really does mean a lot to me.
And you understand this too, being in the rooms for a little while. That's what I'm supposed to do. And if I don't give away what was so freely given to me, something's going to happen bad to me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be able to watch other people get sober too. And what's crazy is, I decided to get sober 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago, 4 years now. And when I did that, it wasn't extremely popular, right? It was starting to gain some popularity, but not like in the last few years. Like the
Right.
last 2 years has been insane with the popularity of people getting sober, even celebrities getting sober.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it. I love that people are looking to have a little bit more of a sober mind, because it's, in my opinion, makes everybody be a better person.
Sure.
You know, when somebody asks me, you know, why I go, and I'm just like, if anything, dude, I like becoming a better man. It's like when I step into those rooms, I'm around older gentlemen that have been through so much more than I have, that can help me, right? Like there's there's another way. Like you don't have to do it the hard way.
But I'm an addict,
Yeah.
and I look for the easiest, softer way in whatever I'm doing to start with. You know, I didn't go to a 12-step program for my first choice when things got tough for me. That was the last house on the block I went to. And every addict I know will tell you the same story. We don't want to go there until we have to go there.
Yeah. I was forced personally.
Yeah.
A lot of people know this story, but you know, CPS came into our lives after a long vacation, and a disgruntled family member, right? And I normally tested negative, like every time CPS showed up, negative, 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 negative. I was really cocky about it too, you know, like you're not
Right.
gonna get me, like. And that time they got me, and they kicked me out of my house. Didn't even
Yeah.
live at home, you know,
That's
and
humbling.
super humbling. Um, that that was the beginning of the rest of my life, though.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because I had a lot of people that know me, and as you know, every year that that you grow in sobriety, you change, and people recognize that. Like the first year to the second year to the third year, it's like I got people that are talking that are like, "Dude, you're completely different now than you were like 2-3 years ago." And I'm like, "Yeah, bro, you should have seen me 5 years ago, bro. I was wild."
Should have seen me drinking beers in the snow in Connecticut.
Yes,
And I
sir.
always knew you needed this program, Marcus, but you can't lead somebody to water till they're ready to go.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. So do this for me. Talk to me a little bit about roofing in Connecticut.
okay.
Um, First, I want to talk about a little bit about your training. Right, you talked
Okay.
about how when you came up there, I helped train you. What did you think? Was there anything lacking in the training, or do you think that the training was too hard?
No, I love the training. It was point on. Um, you know, we sat down for a week. We didn't do anything but watch Becca Switzer videos
Yep.
and talk about how to help customers get their roofs approved through insurance.
Yeah.
What does hail and wind damage look like?
Yeah.
How do we go help these customers so that the company can survive and that I can survive and make enough money to live on and be comfortable?
Yeah.
You guys did it.
Yeah.
I mean,
When you went out, what was your experience on like your first couple of claims?
I remember the first couple of claims that I got. You know, they were old claims that other reps had already started that had been there a year before. The storm was
Yeah.
about 6 or 8 months old when I got there.
Yeah.
So I took some old files, started working those, got a couple of them approved. I remember you came and you helped me because we were doing the project manager thing.
Yeah.
You showed me how to be a project manager and what all was involved.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I mean,
I
I don't
think we
want,
all.
yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
I
It's all
remember the first signature. I actually still have a picture of it. I'll send it to you later. Okay. I still have a picture of that first signature. I don't know. It may be a video. I'm not sure, but I'll dig it up. I remember seeing it the other day. So, and
Do
it
you
just
remember the second house we built in Granby?
was that the owner of the oil company? Is that?
No, that was the bear story. Remember
Oh,
the bear?
yes.
That bear,
Please tell us.
those subs jumped off the roof and they thought he was in a zoo or something. They were 10 feet away from him.
They didn't know
Guys,
that the homeowner was like, I guess the homeowner was like feeding those bears like donuts or
mhm,
whatever.
yeah. It's crazy up here. Bears just wander around everywhere. They're used to it up here. I'm from Texas. I don't see bears wandering around, so I still think it's pretty cool. A lot of them
I
have collars. A lot of them have collars on them, so you know they're tracking them.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, when I got that call, I was just like, bro, what? What's it? What's going on over there? And it's just like, oh, the crew, no, we don't want to, we're not trying to get ate by no bear today. And oh my word, that was probably one of the most interesting phone calls for roofing that I've ever had. I'm glad that
But
you brought that. That was
you
hilarious.
remember the old man you're asking me about with the oil company?
Yeah,
That's the $1.9 million job I sold to him.
I know. I know. I was there.
Yeah, you and I sold that job.
I know that the consulting. I remember we were out there hour every
Oh,
single day, almost hours on all of what were they? It was a retirement village, right?
yeah, there were 43 separate buildings on that property, and then the 5-story main one. It was like 3,300 squares,
Yeah, yeah. That
and
was.
you having some history in the roofing business were like, Kyle, this isn't going to get built for a long time, and I'm the new guy with lots of energy, being
Yeah.
positive, optimistic. No, man, this is going to change my life. I want 200 grand on this. It never got built.
Yep.
And it's not anybody's fault but the owner of the building and the
Yeah.
bank. They just wouldn't let us do that.
Yep.
Just tell everybody they took all the insurance money.
Well, we got
I saw a $1.2 million check on that owner's desk, and he would not give it to me. He wanted, because at that time we were taking checks that had mortgage companies on them and depositing them.
right.
And so he wouldn't let me have it. He said, I got to put it in my bank. Nobody ever saw that money again.
Nope. You'd never see it again either if you don't get it right then and there.
Yep.
And he's not a dedicated property owner to get that taken
Correct.
care of. Which we seen like 20 or 30 other of his properties, right?
Right.
All of them the same thing, including his personal home.
Yeah. Slumlord. That's what I call them.
Yeah. You're never gonna see it, and I seen the writing on the wall, and I tried to be positive, but it was just
You
like
tried to tell me, but I just was incapable of listening and having an open mind at that point.
it and it's hard though when you work so hard for something like that and it just gets ripped out from underneath you. But that's the monkey in this game. Like that's the hardest part about this job that no one will tell you about. But you heard it here on Roofing on the Rise. Just saying.
Myra tells me, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And those were eggs that had not hatched yet. And I was already counting where my chickens were going. Because I got, when I got divorced, I got tagged with $2,500 a month for child support, Marcus. One child. I'm still paying it off today, sir.
Yeah, I'm still paying off child support as well. I got some interest. Actually, you want to know something?
So,
I have some interesting news, and I'm going to write it down right now on a note because I can't talk about it on camera. But I have some interesting news for you, and you're going to be really, 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 really happy about it.
okay. Awesome. I like good news that makes me happy.
It's awesome. It's absolutely amazing. God's working in different, just absolutely amazing ways right now. More than he ever has, really, in my life. And maybe it's not more. Maybe it's just I'm realizing it. Maybe it's I'm just taking the time to like listen and breathe and try and help change what's going on. And it is not easy because of the addiction that I just lived in for so long. You know, my kids, they seen me go outside and drink mommy daddy drinks, right? I was drinking whiskey outside, and I'd time my steaks and everything outside based off of how drunk I'm getting. And that was every single day that I was home. And I wasn't home much because I was on the road all the time.
Right.
So when they seen me, I was drunk. And in my eyes, I was just having a good time because I was off. And in their eyes, daddy's a drunk. And the respect as a father when, you know, and it's different in every home. But for me, I neglected things in my life, fatherly duties and husband duties, etc., that just ate a hole into our family. And you know, now we're slowly filling it with Jesus and with love and with adoration and more love and some cuddles too, right? Maybe
Well,
some
and
pedicures and some
we
manicures.
cannot be the spiritual leader of the household if our trust is put in a bottle or another substance instead of God.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Can you share a memorable story about your success? So maybe you said this year is one of your best years. Could you tell me a good story this year?
Well, I think the reason I'm having the best year this year has to do with the fact that all the last 5 years, the culmination of what I've learned has come to fruition.
Yeah.
Secondly, this is year number 3 working for the company that I'm currently working for. Okay. And I'm I guess, the top salesman. I'm the older guy that's earned everybody else's respect in the company, and I get the good leads because I've showed competency in what I do. And my owner is just an awesome individual. You know, I don't anticipate going anywhere else ever the rest of my career. You know, we've talked about when the day comes, you know, I'm 63, the day will come when I can't climb a roof anymore. It's coming sooner than later. And, you know, they're finding ways where I can continue to work for them and not have to be on a roof. So that tells me that they're valuing what I've been taught.
That's awesome.
And the person that I am today. So that makes me feel good, not only just for myself, but just for life in general.
That's awesome. Do you know how to fly a drone?
No.
That might be the next thing.
That might be the next. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, there are thermal drones and regular drones. I mean, I'll definitely start with a regular drone. Buy a cheap one on Amazon.
Yeah,
like couple $100, and play with it, crash it, play with it, crash it, play with it, crash it.
Yeah, I've watched a few adjusters use them. They look fun.
Yeah, because like when you crash the couple grand ones without, listen, your heart. Okay, so listen to this. So as you know, last year I went into distribution for a year, right?
Right.
I went undercover.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was in distribution, I went from using drones in the field with roofing to using drone in the field for the distribution warehouse and to culminate it into the podcast. And so first day with a new drone, right? They had to buy all new equipment. We go out with a drone and I've taken an awesome video, goes up, right? And the the remote disconnects from the drone. Okay. And so it just does whatever it wants. They'll either go way up or they'll go way out, or they'll just like super rev, or they'll go back to home. There's a lot of different things that happens, and there's different theories about like what happens with your drone or whatever, but I don't know what happened. Maybe it just was meant to be. Anyhow, it disconnected and it went up, and the outside blade clipped the tree, and it went like this on top of it and just laid
there.
Like it didn't even damage the drone. We later the next day had a tree climber climb the tree, get the drone, get it down, and I changed out the propellers. Right, that was it. There really wasn't even anything wrong with the propellers, but nonetheless, it was on the first day. So that's why I recommend playing with it in the field or something before, because like Connecticut is nothing but trees and rocks and like, yeah.
And the houses here aren't just like McMansions like you guys have in Texas.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know, but not everybody else knows.
Right.
Some of them, some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. I know there's like Hamden. There's a really, really nice big neighborhood in Hamden, and I mean, I think some of those big cities have a nicer, bigger neighborhood.
Absolutely, yes.
You're right. You're not driving down Coulter and seeing the big mansions and stuff. It's just not. It's not the same. Or if you're in Houston, you're not going to drive down Memorial and see. It's just not happening up in Connecticut. You got to like go into the mountains. They're very select. There's very few and far between. And generally,
there's big estates over in Litchfield towards New York City.
Yeah, those they have like slate and man,
they've had family roofers in their history for generations, so it's tough to break in over there.
What's the biggest challenge you faced whenever going to Connecticut?
I don't really know how to answer that question, because when I first came to Connecticut, everything was a challenge. I was in a new place, new people, new job, new career. The only thing that I took with me was my pickup and my clothes and my dog, Piper.
I love Piper. Oh, R.I.P. She was such an amazing dog.
Yeah, she was fun. We lost her last fall. She had a stroke.
I'm so sorry. Oh my word! Oh my gosh, she was the cutest
4-pound Yorkshire Terrier. Yeah.
Oh, so and she was just a lover. She either loved you or she did not. Like, I got to puppy sit, and I was super happy about that. So,
but no, just being a new guy up here, people like to hear me talk up here.
Yeah.
They think I'm an anomaly, especially women. Women like the Southern draw, especially since Yellowstone's come out. So
that's great.
And then I whip out my pictures of my daughter rodeoing, so then they think I'm a real cowboy. See.
Is that how you got Myra?
Oh no. I mean, she and I are the most opposite people that could ever meet. I mean, I met Myra on Bumble, when I first moved to
Really?
Connecticut. Yes, I wasn't even divorced yet.
Yeah.
We met, just friends, and here I am 6 years later. We're together.
That's freaking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me how you stay ahead of competition in the field.
I don't really even concern what the competition's doing. We just go do our deal. And just like every roofer, the toughest thing is leads. Where do I go? Put roofs on to help people. I've just developed this great connection with my customers, ask them for referrals, family, and I'm living.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because I'm not a door knocker.
No.
I did not like knocking doors when you guys hired me, and I won't go do it today.
I know, but you're still. So you're an example to a lot of the people that I train, a lot of the trainees in the past. And here's why. Because in my mind, if at your age, don't take this the wrong way for the age.
No, I get it.
I think it's very respectful that at your age that you changed what you were doing because you found that there was something that you were doing over and over again that didn't change in result. Right. And so you needed to change that. And you left, basically went into a new world, right? Like from the south to the north, completely different worlds, completely different living. And so in my eyes, I always reference to you because if you could leave everything and go to a storm dorm and learn for 5 to 10 hours a day for a week straight and then go out and do it, if you can do it, they can do it.
Right.
If I can do it with all the challenges that I've been put with in life as well, then you can do it. And I think that if you believe in yourself, and this is one of the biggest things, if you take anything away from this, if you just believe in yourself and you do what is required, then you will be successful. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
And I'll take that just a little bit further because I always had confidence in myself when I first started. But now I feel like I have the company behind me that is going to back me and help me get to where I need to be.
That's super important too.
You feel me?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I most definitely do. I wish things were different prior, but I feel that every step that we take in life is to put us into where our ultimate destination is going to be. But I don't believe that in an ultimate destination. I believe that you constantly move. Even like you go back, if you're a believer and you go back into the Bible in the Old Testament and you look and you read about people like Abraham and you read about the story of the Israelites going into Egypt and leaving Egypt and then going to the Promised Land. If you go back into those, it is riddled with the belief and the structure and everything that I don't know where I was going with that, but like God's got a purpose for what you're doing in your life. And I feel that each one of those men, that's where I was going, that each one of those men was constantly moving. They were always on the move, and so that's why I believe that your destination's not necessarily fixed. It kind of floats, if you will.
Yep.
What are most important values for you as a businessman?
Man, that's a really good question. I have never thought about that before. Um, I want my customers to know that I want to do the best job I can do for them. And I don't want to say make them happy, because there's some customers you can't make happy.
Right.
There's some situations you can't make right. But if I go into that um, transaction, which I'll call it a transaction, because that's what we're doing, is we're selling a roof. You know, I can sugarcoat it and say, "Oh, I'm trying to help people." We're trying to sell a roof so that I can make money, and they need a roof. So, because I'm not going to give them try to sell them something they don't need. There's too many people out there that need something, so I'm going to help those people. I want them to be comfortable with me. I want to be comfortable with them, because I look back in my career, and I have that horrible customers, usually one a year. And it's usually because their perception of what's fixing to happen doesn't meet my perception of what's about to happen. And so I run from those customers today, where I used to feel like I needed everybody because that's what I needed. I was greedy. I was fearful. God's removed some of those things from me. Not totally, not every day. Some days it's a process. I suffer from, greed. I suffer from slothness, all the 7 sins that the Bible talks about. And so when I look towards God and ask Him to remove those things from me, I'm a better person. And then I can take and build value with my customer and give them what they need.
I love that. That is awesome. Yeah. So I guess there's like this stigma around sobriety that people put, that like we're sticking the mud or whatever, right? So this next question is kind of centered around that. How do you celebrate your milestones, both personally and professionally?
Food. I'm a food guy.
I know
that's what we addicts do. We quit, we go away from the substances that are killing us and hurting us. And so then, food. Yeah.
You still go to that Mexican restaurant near the border of Massachusetts?
Mm-hmm.
That place is
in Granby.
In Granby, yeah.
In Granby. Yes.
That place
I passed by the other day, and I didn't have time to stop and eat, but I will be back.
It is so good. It's not Texas Mexican. It's much different. It's much different, but it's really refreshing.
Yeah, then I celebrate my milestones by doing stuff, because that's one of the reasons I got sober. Yeah. I can go and have fun. I mean, I'm still playing lacrosse at 63.
Dude, yeah. I seen that.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, and if I wasn't sober, I couldn't do this, see? And so I play twice a week with the old guys, and they have pro leagues up here. And that's what's cool for me, is I get to go watch these pros play.
When did you decide to start doing lacrosse again?
Growing up in Amarillo, I was not exposed to the sport at all till I went to college. I went to a small D3 college, Western State College in Gunnison, Colorado, and they had lacrosse.
All right.
I learned there, and I got hooked, and then transferred to Texas Tech, and they had a club team. And
have you always played just like kind of like a golf type thing?
And until when I moved back to Amarillo, when I got married, and then we had my oldest daughter, Caitlin, and we moved back to Amarillo, there was no lacrosse there. And so, I buckled down and got my landscape business going and became a father.
That's a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
But they got lacrosse in Connecticut.
Yes. In fact, the pros are playing down in Fairfield this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that'll be fun. Fun. I think we're going to take a family trip, possibly tonight. we prayed just to be able to pay our bills. You know how God does. And
Yep.
so we haven't done a family trip at all this year. So we're going to do a very inexpensive trip to SeaWorld. SeaWorld's like $114 for the year, and you get 5 free passes, and then
Yeah.
preschool free. So we just lucked out, dog. For $114, we're going to SeaWorld, right?
You going to the one in San Antonio?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to go to San Antonio. We're going to meet up with another friend of mine in the roofing industry, Chuck Allen.
Okay.
And he's going to come with us, and we're going to go, and we're going to see Shamu. Last time I wore white pants and could have caught an indecent exposure, but
yeah, I bet.
really nice to me. So this time we are going to wear colored breeches.
All right. Yeah, San Antonio SeaWorld is a blast.
I love it. So I guess the passes have SeaWorld and Aquatica, which I don't know the difference, but we're gonna figure it out this weekend.
Sure.
So we had a family meeting earlier because church is really important to all of us. The kids really important. It's really what's helped ground us and what helps keep me sober. And so we had this discussion like, okay, well, do we want to go? We want to stay one night and then wake up super early. And the kids are like, what's early? Like 3 a.m. if we want to do first service like we always do. And they're like, 3 a.m.? What about second service? And it's like, well, we need to get up by 5. Well, that's only 2 hours, Dad. It's like, yeah, but we're 4.5 hours away. And what happens if we hit traffic or what have you? So we got to be prepared to get all the way over to church. And they're like, but the other option is watch church online.
Okay.
And so, and when we're out, we haven't done this in, like I said, like a year. It's probably been about a year and a half since we've been out of town together. And the last time we did this, we actually went to another church, and I had like a panic attack coming out of the church, which was weird. It was just much different church. I received something, but they just did things just a little different than I did. And I was raised and I've seen things right. And even that I'm accustomed to in my church, which is really lax, interdenominational. It came from the Osteens here in Houston. So, John Osteen was the original pastor before Joel took over. And John was my pastor, Alan's pastor. So he's the one who helped direct him and guide him and lead him through things. And he always had this joke for my pastor. It was like, if things fail, you got a place here, right? Like, gave him that stuff, man. But it was a motivation that he needed. But anyway, so we think we're gonna just go ahead and watch church online. Love that we've got this online stuff and plug in, and then we'll go out and figure out the rest of the day. We're gonna try to enjoy this weekend. I'm excited.
That sounds fun.
So if you could go back, last question. Actually, I have one more before this last one. If you could go back and give your former self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Man, if my youngest daughter ever watches this podcast, she's going to shoot me. But I'm going to tell you, I would have never bought her any horses.
Be deserving. Dude, there's such a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I mean, I spent so much money on her rodeo deal. It wasn't right, but I did what I did, and I can't change it. So,
she will never forget that.
I guess if we're gonna bare our souls here, we gotta. My kids don't talk to me, Marcus.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to my oldest one in 3 years and Chloe 2 years.
Mm.
And if I could talk to them, I could tell you why they don't talk to me, but I can't even tell you why. They just quit answering their phones and text messages one day.
Mm.
So, but yeah, you're right. Those memories are there. You know, she and I went all over the United States. You know, she won the National Little Britches Rookie of the Year in 2015.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And,
I think
we
that's
went to a
awesome.
rodeo every weekend that year.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah.
You know,
it was fun.
I look at fathers like you and the dedication, and you know, this is one thing that it's a peace of mind. You make an impact further than just your family, you know, and people like myself were able to see some of the things that you did, the trips that you made to make it to make that relationship what it should be. And what happens on the other end is them, and it's between them and God. You know, your heart is between you and God as well. So, you know, I'll pray for you, and I'll pray for the situation. And you know, God's got a plan for it, regardless of what it
You're
is.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly. And you know, I'm not throwing bombs into the
yeah,
situation like I normally used to do in
yeah,
addiction.
yeah.
I'm turn
It's
it over
hard.
to God. Yeah, and I suspect that it's they live in the same city as their mother,
Yeah.
and I suspect it's over child support. So
Uh,
money, you know,
yeah, it is what
as
it
the
is.
Bible says, the root of all evil.
That, my friend, if you were watching this episode today, after hearing everything that we talked about, what do you think would be the biggest takeaway?
Mm, how much I miss you.
I love you, dog.
Yeah, same
Freaking
here,
love
bro.
you, dog.
Yeah.
I freaking love you, man.
You know, I
Well,
love opening up Facebook and seeing your escapades and the person that you've become in sobriety. And see that speaks volumes for our program.
if I could freaking hug you, dog, right now, hug you.
Virtual hug, my friend.
Dog. Love you, bro.
Same
Ladies
here.
and gentlemen, it has been a live stream. We have talked about all different kinds of stuff. I have the chills right now just giving the outro here because of the things that we talked about. We talked about sobriety, we talked about family, we talked about business, we talked about the differences in culture between South and North. We talked about just about everything. So if you're watching this, you can probably get something from this show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are sponsored by Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. When the insurance denies, delays, and defends their position, reach out to me. I will get you in contact with the right people right down here. Chad T. Wilson. Telephone number is 210 919 8987. Again, 210 919 8987. I'll display it out the bottom of the screen so that you can see it. And again, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on and sharing today. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me, and I appreciate you letting me be here.
Absolutely, brother. We'll do
Okay.
it again. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the next one, Roofing on the Rise.